For today's headlines, PhilHealth lifts payment suspension. Sara-Bong not possible. Metro ICU use drops. Adopting fiscal reforms must continue. Metro Manila stays under modified enhanced community quarantine. Delta cases alarm Benguet. Duterte C. I joint vax production. Good morning, I am Venice Bautista and you are watching Tribune News on Q. Today is August 30, 2021, and here are the latest news Monday morning. Philippine Health Insurance Corporation on Sunday said it has temporarily stopped the implementation of the circular, which suspends the payment of claims to hospitals that are under investigation. Dominguez said PhilHealth was prompted to put on hold the circular after its first meeting with healthcare providers, Health Understanding Vega. Spokesperson Shirley Domingo said PhilHealth prompted to put on hold the circular after its healthcare providers and Health Undersecretary Leo Vega. PhilHealth released Circular 2021-0013 that provides guidelines on the issuance of temporary suspension payment claims or TS against healthcare providers who are subject of investigations pertaining to fraudulent, unethical acts, and or abuse of authority. During the congressional investigation last week, PhilHealth said it only owed a total of 12.9 billion pesos worth of claims in different stages of processing. This is in contrast with Philippine Hospital Association President Dr. Jaime Almora's claims PhilHealth still owes each other their members an average of 7 million. In the same committee hearing, PhilHealth was urged to revise its circular as several provisions of SPC are disadvantages part of the healthcare providers, according to lawmakers. PhilHealth President Dante Gueran has previously said that he is willing to reconsider the recommendations of the healthcare providers and revise the circular. Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio will not take Senator Bongo as her vice president should president as it does not make political sense. Regional Party Hukbong ng Pagbabago spokesperson Anthony Del Rosario averred in a media interview. The idea of the two running for the presidential and vice presidential post was floated when Duterte Carpio herself revealed that President Rodrigo Duterte wanted her to either support the Go Duterte tandem or take Go as her vice president. Too. Del Rosario emphasized that the president's daughter only wanted to clearly indicate that she doesn't want anybody dictating or telling her what to do. He pointed out that since a presidential campaign is a national campaign, it is not logical for the presidential and vice presidential campaign to come from the same area. Duterte Carpio run for president further strengthen her numbers nationally by picking a running mate from Luzon, where she is not the most popular bet, Del Rosario believed. It is also not possible that Duterte Carpio and Go would run against each other in the presidential polls. Del Rosario added that as far as hugpong ng pagbabago is concerned, we only want one presidential candidate and that is Mayor Sara, but we still have to wait for her to make it. Hugpong ng pagbabago is open to make alliance with Taban according to Del Rosario. As the Philippines logged 18,528 new COVID-19 Sunday, the utilization of intensive care beds in Manila decreased 66%. Also in the capital region, occupied isolation beds for the virus had from 60% to 60%, while the use of mechanical ventilators dropped from 60%. Those data from the metro somehow served as rays of hope in an otherwise bleak day as the country had its second highest daily tally since the pandemic started this year. Based on the Department of Health's latest case bulletin, new cases pushed the total to 1,900,023, of which 143,201 are tagged as active. Of the active cases, 95.3% are mild, 2% are asymptomatic, 1.1% are 0.6% are in critical condition. Total number of recoveries climbed to 1,777,900 after 17,924 patients recovered from the virus. Meanwhile, the country's COVID-19 death toll rose to 13,109 after 101 new fatalities reported. Positivity rate stood at 27.9 out of the 6,205 individuals who were screened for the respiratory disease. 7. Comparing the data from 28th to 29th of August, the country's ICU beds from COVID-19 has decreased from 74% to 71%. The DOH noted 205 duplicates were removed from the total case count. Of these 204 are recoveries. Tribune News on Q will be back after these reminders. We are back on Tribune News on Q. The government's adoption of fiscal reforms must be sustained to protect its gains amid the pandemic, the Department of Finance said in its latest economic bulletin over the weekend. The DOF said fiscal reforms boosted the tax effort by 0.55 percentage point to 14.77%, moving close to the 2019 first semester level of 14.86%. As such, the agency stressed the importance of fiscal reforms, especially those that are still pending in Congress, such as the remaining packages of the Comprehensive Tax Reform Program. Still, the agency said that these fiscal reforms allow the country to fund its fiscal requirements to curb the effects of the pandemic and protect its robust macroeconomic fundamentals. Data from the Bureau of Treasury show the national government's revenue collection in July at 256.1 billion pesos, 9.21% higher than the posted 21.6 billion pesos in the same month last year. Cumulative collection for the first 7 months of the year went up by 3.47% to 1.74 trillion pesos from the recorded 1.68 trillion pesos in the same period in 2020. Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez III earlier said that the government will be collecting a hefty sum of 3.3 trillion pesos in 2022, 14% higher than the 2021 revenue collection program of 2.9 trillion pesos. Dominguez III likewise called on lawmakers to work closely with the executive branch to help ensure the country's solid recovery from the pandemic. President Rodrigo Duterte kept Metro Manila and its nearby provinces under modified enhanced community quarantine in the next 2 weeks, Malacanang announced last Saturday. He approved the recommendation of the Interagency Task Force on Emerging Infectious Diseases on extending the imposition of MECQ in the capital region, Bulacan, Cavite, Laguna, and Rizal until September 7, his spokesperson Secretary Harry Roque said. Bataan, Apayao, Ilocos Norte, Aklan, Iloilo, and the cities of Lucena, Lapu-Lapu, Cebu, Mandaue, and Cagayan de Oro would likewise remain under MECQ. The national government issued the latest quarantine restrictions as the country logged 19,441 additional coronavirus cases on Saturday, the highest single-day tally recorded yet since the pandemic began, raising the nationwide count to 1.93 million COVID-19 cases. Curfew hours in Metro Manila under the prevailing MECQ would remain from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. The Pandemic Task Force, meanwhile, directed local officials whose jurisdictions have a community transmission of the COVID-19 to implement localized lockdowns. Local government units should also ensure the strict observance of minimum public health standards and improve the implementation of engineering and administrative controls, especially ventilation standards and actions against crowding and gatherings, the task force added. They were also reminded to improve the distribution of personal protective equipment and waste management, as well as health education on COVID-19 transmission. As the Department of Health confirmed the presence of the coronavirus disease 2019 Delta variant in Benguet province, Governor Melchor Daguines de Clas has called on the health cluster of the Provincial Interagency Task Force to strengthen the province's defense system against the virus. The Health Department reported 4 Delta variant cases in the province and confirmed that 2 of the cases were from La Trinidad and 1 each from Biguias and Tuba. The Provincial Health Office, on the other hand, noticed doubling of COVID-19 cases in the province. On August 27, there were 19 new cases reported, bringing the total number of active cases in the province to 605, and based on the situational report of the DOH, the bed capacity of hospitals in Benguet is at 85%. The provincial government has stated that those who are below 15 years old, over 65 years old, and those with immunodeficiency, comorbidity, or other health risks, and pregnant women are strictly not allowed to go out of their residence per guidelines. Non-essential travels are also being discouraged. Police at the border checkpoints are tasked to continuously implement strictly the no negative RT-PCR test or proof of being fully vaccinated, no entry for non-Benguet residents. The class already called a meeting for the members of the Benguet PIATF on September 1 to further discuss the province's COVID-19 response and reminded the public to strictly adhere to the minimum public health standards and to avoid going out if not necessary. Tribune News on Q will be back. Stay with us.
Manong Joe po.
At Ate Maita.
Ngayong Hunyo, bahagyang tumaas ng 8 centavos per kilowatt hour ang overall electricity rates. Ito'y dahil sa dagdag singil sa WESM.
Alam niyo ba, pwede kayong i-update ng Meralco sa text or sa email gaya ni Sarah G. Sisendan kayo ng advanced updates tulad ng upcoming bill details. Di na kayo kakaba-kaba sa paghihintay ng bills. At anumang mangyari sa bill, masira, mabasa, o mawala, no problem. To get updates, i-update ang inyong contact information sa Facebook Messenger, meralco.com.ph, email, hotline 16211 o Meralco Business Centers.
Handa kami makipag-ugnayan sa inyo para makapaghatid ng mas mabuti, mabilis, at maginhawang serbisyo.
Hanggang sa susunod na
Meralco Advisory.
You are still watching Tribune News on Q. And in other news, President Rodrigo Duterte and Chinese President Xi Jinping have discussed the possible partnership between the Philippines and China on anti-coronavirus vaccine development and production. In a 45-minute phone call on Friday, Duterte had called for greater collaboration in the public health sector, particularly on immunization efforts, while Xi expressed China's commitment in supporting the Philippines' pandemic response, according to Malacanang. In particular, China would continue to support the Duterte administration's Build, Build, Build infrastructure program and the Philippines' efforts to defeat COVID-19, including through a possible joint collaboration on vaccine development and production. emergency, as quoted by the Office of the President. Meanwhile, Duterte thanked China anew for assisting his administration's response to the health crisis by making millions of vaccine shots available to Filipinos. The bulk of the country's jab supply consists of Sinovac vaccines, which accounted for 26.5 million of all doses. Meanwhile, 1.1 million doses of Sinopharm shots have been delivered to Manila. The Philippines, on the other hand, has yet to venture into local production of COVID-19 vaccines, but Duterte wanted the creation of a state-run agency that has the capacity to manufacture and produce vaccines to prepare for future pandemics. And that wraps up the stories this morning.
Catch the latest news on our website tribune.net.ph and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Tribune Now. The Daily Tribune is one with the nation in facing the COVID-19 crisis, and in line with this, the Daily Tribune digital edition and press reader is now available for free online. You can also download the Daily Tribune app on Apple Store for iOS users and Google Play for Android users to get the latest and most comprehensive news online. Daily Tribune is also inviting everyone to join its community Viber Katribu to get updates on the freshest and hottest news and entertainment stories of the day. Tarcito emoticons are also available on our community Viber. Just click on the link in this video to join.
Before we go, we would like to thank the SM Store, the Department of Tourism, Aranet Center, MG Motors, Hina Motors, Security Bank, and Overseas Community Affairs Council member Alan Lin of Republic of China for their continued support. Again, this is Venice Bautista, and you are watching Tribune News on Q. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay at home. Good morning!
This public service advisory is brought to you by Daily Tribune and 100.3 RJFM.
Ang bayan kong Pilipinas, hirap ang dinadanas. Sari-sari ang problema dahil sa pandemya. Matapang ang Pilipino, matapang tayo. Kakayanin natin to, kaya natin to. Like Andres Bonifacio, he is our hero. Hindi atakbo, hindi atakbo. Nandiyan na ang bakuna. Magpapaturok ka ba? Supilin na ang pandemya. Magpapaturok ka ba? Subilin na ang pandemya.
This public service advisory is brought to you by Daily Tribune and 100.3 RJFM.
Mga katribo, handa na ba kayong sumayaw at manalo? Halina't sumali sa Katribo Bakuna Paturok TikTok Challenge handog ng Daily Tribune, Teleradyo Bandido TV at RJFM. Napakadali lang sumali. Step 1. Like at i-follow ang Daily Tribune Facebook page at TikTok account upang maging updated at makasali. Step 2. Bumuo ng isa o grupo na hanggang 3 katao at gumawa ng TikTok video gamit ang opisyal na Paturok Jingle Daily Tribune at RJFM na makukuha sa TikTok account ng Daily Tribune.
Pababakuna ka ba? 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 Vaccination for the nation. No more isolation. With vaccination. Pababakuna ka ba? 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 Paturok, paturok, paturok.
Step 3. I-post ang inyong video sa Daily Tribune TikTok account at gamitin ang hashtag Katribo Bakuna Paturok. Maaari ring i-mention ang Daily Tribune TikTok account para sa inyong entry. Huwag kalimutang i-like ang official Facebook page ng Daily Tribune. Manood at huwag kalimutang i-share ang programang Gising Na Facebook livestream mula alas 8 hanggang alas 9 ng umaga para alamin ang daily winner. Lahat pwede sumali. Make your move. Lumabas at magpaturok na ng bakuna.
Paturok, paturok.
It's time for the world to know. Outstanding Filipinos in America. The 11th Outstanding Filipinos in America Awards 2021. A salute to the heroes of coronavirus. Coming back live in person at Carnegie Hall in New York City. Home of the TOFA Awards since 2011.
Magpabakuna kayo.
This public service advisory is brought to you by Daily Tribune and 100.3 RJFM.
Iba ng panahon, ang dami ng bago ngayon. Pati ang mundo natin, well, nagbago na rin. Buti ano bayan, bigger, better na. You can buy it sa centers, pati sa mga partners, may online pa at app. You can buy it with your fingers, still don't remittance and more. Online shopping, you can buy it all. Di magpadala, you can buy it all. Anumang pera transaction, you can buy it all.
Sabayan ang pagbabago ng mundo for all your pera transactions, all new Bayan.
Every time I'm on the road, I can expect high performance from Phoenix Fuels. Now with Pulse technology, delivers enhanced power and acceleration to make every trip come alive.
With Globe, our steps can lead us to millions of doors opening, millions of paths unfolding, and millions of reasons to keep going. Now's the time to be with the network that gets better every day for you.
Araneta City, home to the country's first indoor shopping mall, the world's original Thrilla, and the first ever Bini Bini pageant. Now a place for your first win, your first catch, your first home, your first big break, your first date, and even your first love. Araneta City, the city of firsts.
Manong Joe po,
At Ate Maita,
ngayong Hunyo, bahagyang...
Magpabakuna kayo.
This public service advisory is brought to you by Daily Tribune and 100.3 RJFM.